Yo, hey, this shit easy, nigga. Hey, all I'm talking about, nigga, I'm still out here trying to get it.
Contender Regime Boxing, checking back in with y'all, man. What's happening? Happy Easter to everybody, man. Hope y'all enjoying y'all Easter Sunday. So it's fight week. April 10th. This coming up Saturday, we got Jaron Ennis versus Sergey Lipinets. It's a great fight. It's a big step up for Jaron Ennis. This is a huge opportunity for Sergey Lipinets because you're fighting an up and coming guy who is is highly touted, has a lot of promise, a lot of potential. A lot of people view this guy as the future of boxing, me included. I think Jaron Ennis is the best fighter in boxing under the age of 25. I think he's the future. I think he's the next big star in the sport of boxing. I don't see another guy that's more skilled, more talented, or just more versatile, more athletic. I don't see anybody under the age of 25 that's anywhere as good as Jaron Ennis. I mean, it's a lot of it's a lot of great talent out there, but I just think Ennis separates himself. I just feel like he's different. Now, of course, we got to see these guys in the fights. We got to see these guys continue to step up in competition, and all of that will reveal itself. But this is just me going off of the eye test. So for Sergey Lipinets, this is a huge opportunity for him to make a statement, to get a big win over a guy like this, and just gain so much respect and notoriety at the welterweight division if he can get a victory over Jaron Ennis. For Ennis, it's a huge step up for him. Probably the best fighter on his resume so far. The stiffest test Sergey Lipinets has been in with the best. He had some good fights at 140, and he's coming up to 147. And I feel like Sergey Lipinets is going to be a lot stronger at 147 than he was at 140. So this is a huge step up. And Virgil Ortiz had just fought Maurice Hooker a couple of weekends ago. That was a big step up for Virgil Ortiz. I actually think this fight is a lot stiffer, a lot tougher. It's just talking about the level of the opponent. I think Sergey Lipinets is just overall just a stronger fighter than Maurice Hooker. Maurice Hooker may have more tools as far as just boxing ability, but if you're looking at just the strength of the fighter, the style, just the overall ability as a fighter, I think Sergey Lipinets is just a better fighter than Maurice Hooker. I would pick Sergey to beat Maurice Hooker, and I would have picked Jaron Ennis to stop Hooker in less than 4 rounds, just being honest with you. So I just think this is a tougher matchup between the two up-and-coming contenders / prospects in Ortiz and Ennis. But what I wanted to talk about, particularly in this video, is the downside of being Jaron Ennis, the downside of being in a position that Jaron Ennis is in right now. He is an up-and-coming fighter that has a lot to prove. He wants to fight the best. Of course, he wants to fight all of the top guys, just like all these young guys. They get in the game, they make a little noise, and they start calling out the guys at the top. I mean, you see it time and time again. You've seen it with Earl Spence. You've seen it with Keith Thurman. You've seen it with... I mean, it happens. That's just what happens in the sport of boxing. You get in the game, you 5-0, 10-0, 13-0, you start calling out guys, and you want an opportunity. So that's not abnormal. That's something that we see all the time. But with Jaron Ennis, he is cut from that cloth of an Earl Spence, somebody who can really compete with these top guys like right now. Virgil Ortiz, another one of those guys that can compete with the top guys right now. These guys are just further along than your average up-and-coming prospect / future contender or future champion. These guys are skill level it's on another level, and the IQ, everything. They're dedicated to the sport, and they already have the physical and mental gifts on top of the work ethic that puts them in a different bracket than just your average up-and-coming prospect. And Jaron Ennis, like I said, I just gave you the rundown on the potential I think that Jaron Ennis has. And So with him actually calling these guys out, it's a realistic thing that he can beat these guys. Now, of course, the top guys, they really don't have any incentive on fighting Jaron Ennis, because it's like, what do you gain by fighting Ennis? Is, if you fight him and you win, they gonna say he was a prospect. If you fight him and you lose, your stock is gonna drop tremendously, right? But with Jaron Boots Ennis, I view him as one of those guys that fighters they're not gonna be jumping out the gate to fight. And I'm not even just talking about just the top guys. I mean former world champions, guys that haven't been world champion before, that are vying for an opportunity to be world champion. They don't want to mess up their opportunity. They don't want to take a L, or, have to drop back, a few spots from where they currently are ranked, and as far as their path on becoming a champion. I think these guys, there's gonna be a lot of guys, top 10, top 15, top 20 guys. Shout out to Sergey Lipinets for even taking this fight. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not a lot of guys that's jumping out there to fight Jaron Ennis. And I'm telling you, if Jaron Ennis go in there and do what I believe he's gonna do to Sergey Lipinets, I mean, I haven't even done an official prediction, but let's just put it out there. I think Jaron Ennis is gonna stop Sergey Lipinets. I think Lipinets is gonna be tough. I think he's gonna be strong, and he's gonna come forward. He's gonna throw punches. He's gonna go to the body. He's gonna go to the head. He's gonna try to apply pressure on Jaron Ennis, but sooner or later, I feel like Ennis is gonna be the one that takes everything away from Sergey Lipinets, starts to control him, and push Lipinets back. And I don't think Lipinets can fight very good going off for the back foot. I think Ennis is going to break him down and take his heart. You know what I'm saying? I think Jaron Ennis is going to dominate Sergey Lipinets. But again, shout out to Lipinets for taking this fight, but it's a catch-22, because if Ennis go out there and have a dominating performance versus Lipinets, bro, he's not going to get a fight. There is nobody that's going to be willing to fight Jaron Ennis. You know what I'm saying? There's nobody that's going to be willing to fight him. And it's like, you don't want to go in there and take it easy on a guy, but it's like, bro, you can't really show your A+ game on Lipinets, because if you do, you're not going to get a fight. Boxing is in a state where these, guys are so reluctant to take risks. Guys are so reluctant to put their O on the line, or put their brand on the line. They don't want to take a L. They don't want to, have to fall a few spots back on the ranking system because they lost to a great fighter. And Jaron Ennis is just like how Earl Spence was. He had to chase down Keith Thurman. He had to chase down Sean Porter. He had to chase down Danny Garcia. Earl Spence had been calling these guys out at 14, 15, 16, and no, could not get a fight at all. It took him so long to get a fight. And once he started getting those fights, you seen how dominant he was in these fights. He had to chase down Kell Brook. You seen how dominant he was in these fights, and that let you know, like, it was a reason that these dudes was avoiding him. And people see stuff like that, and I feel like Jaron Ennis, he gonna have it even worse than Earl Spence. Because he's really on a tear right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, Jaron Ennis is one of those guys always in the gym. Always in the gym, focus on his craft. He truly wants to be the best, and he has some of the best raw skills and talents and abilities that I've seen in a long time. The pure athleticism, the ability to switch orthodox and southpaw naturally. I mean, the guy says that he don't even notice sometimes when he's doing it. It's that natural to him. The ring IQ, he has a great team around him, comes from a family of boxers. This kid is really in position to do something great. But what I fear with Jaron Ennis is the same thing that you've seen with so many other fighters that came before him, especially black fighters that kind of get, boxed out of getting these big fights. You know what I'm saying? Other guys don't want to fight them, and then you got, you know, other black fighters who like, shit, you know, damn, I don't want to take that risk right now. You know what I'm saying? Because they know what Jaron Boots Ennis is. They know what type of fighter they looking at. You dig what I'm saying? So I fear that Jaron Ennis is gonna, you know, he's gonna be stuck fighting subpar competition for a long time until he gets into a mandatory position to where a guy with a title that has a name that's an upper echelon caliber type of guy will have no choice but to fight him. You know, so with this fight on Saturday, man, it's like I want him to go out there and put on a hell of a performance, which I think he gonna do. Jaron Ennis go look at his Instagram, bro. Like it's like Christmas for him. You know what I'm saying? This shit like Christmas for him. He counting this shit down every day. You know what I'm saying? He'll tell you day 13, day 14. Like he counting this shit down every day. You know what I'm saying? Like he want to go out there and punish Sergey Lipinets. He wants to make a statement. So I know what type of energy he gonna bring. But it's like I don't want to tell him. I don't want to be like, damn, bro. You know what I'm saying? Don't beat him up too bad, because if you look too good, it's gonna be extremely difficult for you to get a fight. I don't see any of the top guys fighting Jaron Ennis no time soon. And I really don't know how long it's gonna be before the Virgil Ortiz and Ennis fight happens. I don't know if it's gonna happen at 47. I don't know if it's gonna happen at 54. I know Virgil Ortiz would be willing to take the fight, but will Golden Boy and Oscar De La Hoya, will they be willing to put him in there with Jaron Ennis? You know what I'm saying? So, man, it's a downside of being this good. This young and being this good and being this dedicated to the craft where people really like they know what you're about. It's a downside to that. You know, so I just kind of wanted to put that out there and pose a question to y'all. Like, how does Jaron Boots Ennis avoid that same fate that you seen with Errol Spence can't get a fight? You know what I'm saying? Now, eventually Errol Spence did start to get fights, but in order for him to do that, he had to get into that mandatory position for the IBF. And Kell Brook, you know, Kell Brook went up to 160 and he fought Triple G. And then, you know, he was going to stay at 160 or drop down to 154 and just stay at 154. But everybody was like getting on Kell Brook head. They was like, bro, like, nah, you got to go defend your title versus Errol Spence. This dude been calling you out. He been chasing you. You know what I'm saying? You got to go defend your title. And Kell Brook, being such a real motherfucker, he was like, look, I bet I don't even have to do this. I done already went up. I can just vacate the title and stay at 54. But Kell Brook, he was such a real motherfucker. He like, look, I'm going to go down here and fight this dude. Like, I ain't finna just let this motherfucker run me off my title. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to go down here and fight this dude. So for Ennis, in my opinion, the only way he going to get a big fight is he going to have to work his way up as a mandatory one of these sanctioning bodies and force the champion to fight him. That's literally the only way. He's not going to get any other big fights. I hope I'm wrong, but the way this shit looking, it's going to be hard for him to get big fights versus other contenders that's vying for a spot. You know, because if go back to Errol Spence, I keep comparing them because you seen the same movie before with Errol Spence. Remember, it was I believe it was Aegis Kavalauskas. You know what I'm saying? Mean Machine. He was supposed to fight Errol Spence. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but he was supposed to fight Errol Spence to be the mandatory for Kell Brook. So instead of him fighting Errol Spence, he dropped out and he declined the fight. So Errol Spence ended up fighting Leonard Bundu, I believe, to get that #1 spot for Kell Brook. So you see, you got guys that they're in position to fight to get an opportunity to fight the champion, but instead of fighting the next guy up that's really a dangerous guy that can really beat you and beat the champion, they're dropping out of those fights, and now, you know, he either has to fight somebody else, or I guess they'll move him up, you know, as the mandatory to go ahead and get the champion, which, I mean, that works out for the guy that's coming up and trying to get the title, you know, but at the same time, it sucks that you can't even get a chance to prove yourself because dudes just literally don't want to fight you. You know what I'm saying? So Jaron Ennis, man, he just got to keep on doing what he doing, keep winning, keep looking good, and, you know, work his way up in one of these sanctioning bodies. I know he's ranked in the WBO, and I think he's ranked in one of these other sanctioning bodies, but he just got to keep on working his way up and just focus. He got to, just like Earl Spence did, he got to focus on one sanctioning body and try to get his way to the top and force a champion to fight him. That's literally the only way that he gonna get an opportunity to get a big fight. You know what I'm saying? Other than that, I don't see any of these guys jumping out the window to fight Jaron Ennis, especially if he go out there and he knock out Sergey Lipinets in devastating fashion. You know what I'm saying? If he go out there and he boxes his ears off and then stop him late. Just show you everything. You dig what I'm saying? So how do y'all feel about the path that Jaron Ennis is eventually gonna have to take? What do y'all think that he can do differently to secure these big fights that other guys in the past could not do? Y'all let me know what y'all think down in the comments, man. Contender Regime Boxing. I'll holler at y'all boys, man.